For this video, we're going to practice a little bit of geometry. Now, the SAT test itself is mainly comprised of algebra questions, but there are some geometry questions in there peppered in there. So we're going to practice a little bit. Reminder about geometry. Geometry is huge with definitions, postulates, theorems, things that we need to remember, and they're not always given to you as reminders in the test itself. So let's just practice a little bit of geometry. So we're given this diagram, and we're told that it's not drawn to scale, so we've got to keep that in mind. It also tells us that in the figure above, triangle ABC is similar to triangle EDC. Now, again, here's where those definitions come into play. Remember, similar triangles mean that the corresponding triangles share the same angles. So they're going to be congruent. So I'm going to mark that up here. So we've got triangle ABC, and that's going to be similar to triangle CDE. So I'm just going to draw that up there to remind myself visually. Remember, on your SAT test, you have lots of room in your booklet to do scratch work. So if you have to draw pictures, draw pictures. If you have to use shapes. Whatever helps your brain process this information best, use it. Okay. Next, it tells us that we have corresponding angles. BAC is corresponding to CED. So I'm going to mark that on my diagram. BAC, so this angle right here, corresponds to angle CED, which is this angle right here. So again, that's telling me that I know that they're congruent to each other because of the fact of similar triangles. Then it goes on to tell us that angle ABC corresponds to angle CDE. I'm going to draw that in as well. Angle ABC is right here, and it corresponds to angle CDE, which is this angle right here. And it's asking us to find which of the following are true. Before we get to that, I want to talk about a couple of other things as well. So remember, when we have diagonal lines, we need to know what those mean. If they're crossing two other lines, we need to understand definitions of intersection, of perpendicular, of parallel, those types of things. All right, let's look at our choices. So choice number one here, it says that angle or segment AE, so segment AE, this segment right here, is parallel. Remember, this symbol right here means parallel. Parallel means that they never cross. Segment BD. So segment BD is right here. Segment AE, I've drawn them both in black. It's asking, are they parallel? Well, parallel lines mean that they never cross. We see that these two cross. So this cannot be an option. So I'm going to cross that off. Process of elimination. Second choice, segment AE. Again, segment AE is perpendicular. Remember, this symbol right here means perpendicular. Perpendicular means 90 degrees with segment BD. So while these two cross, because that's important for perpendicular, they've got to make a 90-degree angle with each other. We are not told in the diagram or the problem itself that this is 90 degrees or a right angle. For those reasons, we cannot assume that ever. So we're going to cross that off our list as well. So B is now off the table as well. C says segment AB is parallel to segment DE. All right, so what we know about congruent triangles, similar triangles, is that the angles are congruent to each other, right? We also know that the sides, now they're not going to be the same length, okay? So they're not the same length. The angles are what are the same in similar triangles. But what we do know up here is that we've got these two lines that are intersecting these two lines here. And notice that we've already determined, because they gave us that those two angles are corresponding to each other, and these two angles are corresponding to each other. Notice that they're the opposite angle on the diagonal from the other line, right? Remember, again, geometry, alternate interior angles. If we have angles that are opposite each other on the other side of the diagonal, those are congruent to each other, which we already know because they're corresponding and they gave them to us. These diagonal lines are what are called transversal lines in geometry, and they're transversal lines if they cross parallel lines. So we have seen now that that segment AB and segment DE are parallel to each other because we're recalling those definitions and principles that we learned in geometry. So C would be our answer. I hope this helps a little bit. You can do this. We believe in you.